Welcome to a new episode of the Tennis Lifestyle Podcast. I'm Gianluca Sola. In this episode, I interview Nick Margiasso. I've been following Nick for several years on Twitter. I've been following his sort of tennis journey, and very exciting to see all the experiences he's been doing. Right now, currently, Nick is the head men's and women's tennis coach of New Jersey City University. He basically has started this tennis program from scratch, and it sounds very exciting since it's going to be a brand new program for the university. There's going to be lots of challenges, and I think he's really looking forward to get going. Unfortunately, with the whole pandemic and virus, what's happened is actually many colleges have decided to cut their budget for athletic programs, and including tennis. So there's a lot of cuts there, but New Jersey City University has decided to sort of go the opposite route and start from scratch with Nick. So good luck there. I'm sure he's going to do extremely well. Other things Nick has done in the past, he's also coached other teams, other divisions, including USciences in Philadelphia. He was also an assistant coach for the Savannah College of Art and Design, known as SCAD, for both the men's and women's teams. He's also played on the pro circuit for a while, coached. Another very interesting thing, tennis experience is he led the Nightingale Bamford School, which is a very prestigious New York City school, to an undefeated season in 2017 and 18. He's also owned, for about 6 years, he's owned and operated his own tennis and media company. With that, he's had short coaching stints and media services. He's done media services also for pros and junior tennis players, including Nick Kyrgios, Ryan Harrison, and Chris Eubanks, amongst others. We unfortunately spoke mostly about his college tennis career and what he's up to currently, but it would be nice to actually talk to him again and get a bit more insight with his experience and relationship with Nick Kyrgios, for example. That could be very interesting. He also handled some public relations for the ATP, the Atlanta Open, and the USTA, and he's a great guy, full of personality. I really enjoyed talking to him, and maybe we'll get to chat again. So I hope you enjoy it. And by the way, the interview towards the very end, when I have my rapid fire quiz, there was a tornado warning. So not on my side, but on his side. So we got cut off, and we could only finish the interview again the following day. So don't worry, I've sort of edited a bit out. You'll see it's a bit, it might not flow as great towards the end, but I like to leave things quite raw as they are and not sort of make them all nice and pretty. So don't worry about that, but it's a great interview, and enjoy. Ciao, ciao. Bye. How are you doing?
Doing good. Just was a little bit of a whirlwind. Got our first international student in for the fall semester, came in yesterday, and so just the process of getting him all set up, sort of all yesterday and late night, and then very early morning, because obviously he's on a 6-hour delay from us, so he's up super early. He's going to sleep early, so just trying to make sure he's all worked out.
Okay. Great. I just want to, just for the listeners, my guest today is Nick Margiasso. I just want to give a brief introduction.
You said that name
I
so well.
Well, that's one of the few good things of being Italian. Yeah. Um, and yeah, Nick is. I've actually known Nick through Twitter. I started following you quite a few years ago. I think it must be 2 or 3 years ago, and it's I think basically because obviously you are in tennis, you were a tennis coach, and also because I think you had some interest, some music, soccer, and other stuff that sort of are my interests as well. So
All the
that
great
was one
things
of
in
the
life. That's right.
yeah. So that's how it started. And when I started following you, I remember you were an assistant coach, tennis coach at the Savannah College of Arts and Design.
Yeah.
And after that, you moved to USciences in Philadelphia, where you were a head coach for the men's and women's tennis team.
Yep.
And currently now you are in, well, you're the head coach in for the men's and women's tennis team in New Jersey City University. So yeah, I've followed you through this through this process, and yeah, you've always got really interesting things to say. Also, I must add before that, I see you were obviously a tennis coach. And you also had your own tennis and media company, and you did also some public relations for the ATP and some other events.
Yep.
So yeah, you've had quite an interesting tennis background. But for our listeners, maybe can you just give us a brief background, how you got into tennis and like your tennis journey?
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up I picked it up a little late. I sort of was like a lot of other kids, like wanted to play football and baseball and basketball because those were over here, at least in America, those are the famous sports. But as luck would have it, I really liked those sports, but I was actually gifted in tennis. So I continued to play it sort of a little bit to my chagrin. And then you start to realize that as you get a little bit, tennis is a little bit more of a cerebral sport, if I may say. So like as you mature, you tend to get a little bit better at it, and you tend to realize like the game sort of helps explain different things and helps you kind of off the court, with your mental aspect, and sort of, kind of finally fell in love with it. Went and played, walked on at USF, which is nowadays is a perennial, top 40 D1 tennis school since I left, I should say.
Okay.
But before we got like pretty good where we are now, I sort of was at the start of them, sort of getting a little bit of recognition, and sort of had a like I tell my kids a lot, and one of the reasons it's funny how ironic you end up at college. College was when I sort of burn out on tennis, and I sort of, after walking on at USF, I just sort of quit cold turkey and didn't play tennis anymore for a few years. And so basically at the time, a few years after, or like basically right after I graduated, a couple years after I graduated, at the time when most kids were giving up their tennis to go be a professional, I sort of was like, you know what? I don't think I gave this enough of a chance. And then started training really hard with an amazing coach, and a guy who just left his position, but he sort of built up the program at Missouri. His name's Colt Gaston. He's an NCAA doubles champion at LSU. And I sort of hooked up with him. I mean, to be honest, I got lucky. We sort of hit it off, but at the time he started to kind of coach me a little bit as kind of a friend and on the side. He was coaching Michael Venus, who is a French Open doubles finalist or champion, and was coaching Ryan Harris, who's an Olympian.
Oh, okay.
I sort of lucked out, and honestly, my time spent with him, not only did it get me to play on the ITF Challenger circuit for a year, but he really changed the way that I thought about tennis and what you could do out there, because I was sort of one of those guys. I sort of think of myself in the Rocky aspect, which you understand as an Italian. I was sort of the guy who didn't have on paper the talent, but I would do absolutely anything to squeeze out all the juice out of my orange to be able to do,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? To try to
Yeah.
get everything I could while I was out there. So, and he sort of helped me be like, hey, listen, and this is something I
Yeah.
still do say to the kids to this day. You know, you don't have to be the best player out there. You don't have to be the most talented player out there. You've just got to be smarter. You've got to work harder, and you've got to want it worse than the other
Yeah.
guy. You can do anything you want. And he sort of
Yeah.
changed. Yeah, he sort of changed me in that way of thinking, and I always sort of kept coaching on the outside of the periphery for me. And then I went to school for PR and communications and decided, hey, I love tennis. How can I get in the game? And sort of started making connections and worked, with guys like Greg Sharko, who's the head of ATP Communications, and worked with doing PR for some of the tournaments. And what was funny is when the tournament came to town, and Colt was still doing like coaching on the side, guys like Ryan Harrison, they would come into town and he would coach them for that time, and I got to hang around and be like a hitting partner / like coach. Obviously when players travel, if they're not a top 100 player, they don't necessarily have the money to travel with a coach. So if you're in the area and they trust you and they know you, you can be the coach for that period of time while they're at the tournament. And was lucky enough to do that for a couple of years, sort of kicking along with Colt. And honestly, it sort of led to me starting the company, which I said, hey, who is able, a lot of times if you want help in the media realm and then you also need a hitting partner / coach for a week, those two things don't intersect really, So I was able to sort of offer something that nobody else was, to do both of those things for like short stints. And honestly, that's how I hooked up with, still to this day, that helps me in recruiting. I hooked up eventually. The pinnacle was I hooked up with Nick Margiasso for his first ATP title, and did PR right before he started caught fire. Right before he sort of caught fire as the big, the new John McEnroe rock and roll tennis star.
That was Atlanta, am I correct?
Yeah, 2016 Atlanta. He beat John Isner in the final, and we had a great. Obviously, I was a little younger. He was obviously extremely young, and we had a great time. That's the thing people, I'm sure, see with Nick. And then some of the people in tennis talk about is he's the nicest guy and the coolest kid and just a great person.
Yeah.
It was so fun. To be honest, some people just don't want to be told what to do. Ask John McEnroe. That's why they get along. If to coach him, you can't be telling him what to do. You have to sort of have a fluid suggestion and be having a nice time and a friendship with him. And that's how it works. It doesn't work as a guy dictating stuff to him. And once that happened, I sort of caught the bug, and I was like, honestly, if I could be doing this at this level, I can't think of anything better than this. And I sort of backed out from one side of the game, behind the curtain doing PR, and jumped back into the coaching. And because of some of the resume I had put together, at the ATP 250s with guys like Nick Margiasso, I sort of jumped in and got I actually took over one of the top prep programs in the nation at a super, super prestigious academy in the Upper West Side of New York City called Nightingale Bamford. It's actually the school that the series Gossip Girl is based on, little known fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so went there.
Yeah.
We went undefeated in New York City. We went undefeated for the first time. We won. And right from there, SCAD noticed me, and I went to SCAD and started out in college, which was the only place I hadn't been yet. And the rest is sort of history leading up to here.
Brought you to here. No, that's amazing. I wanted to talk to you about recently. I actually read that article. I think it's the New Jersey Herald about you.
The record.
Basically, it said that. While many colleges are like right now cutting tennis programs and dropping athletic programs due to the budget cuts, New Jersey City University is kind of going the other way. It's launching a tennis program from scratch, and obviously you're the man behind it. Does is well, two questions. Is it really bad? The programs, are they cutting a lot of tennis college programs right now? And the second one is, well, what made you join New Jersey City University? Was it the challenge of starting something from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real testament to New Jersey City University that they've committed to adding tennis for the first year. And there's been a pandemic. The world is, the locusts are here, volcanoes are
Yeah,
exploding. It seems like it's the
yeah,
end. And NJCU, the athletic director Sean Tucker, the president Sue Henderson, and all the other great people that work at NJCU in athletics and outside in the university. They've sort of committed to push through, and makes me feel very humble that they decided that I was worthy of the task. And I hope so far I've sort of shown that I am. That's the thing with me, is I try to be I try to be the nicest guy I can, try to be a super humble guy, but like my confidence level, like I know I have no doubt that we can compete for a championship in our first year. I really think that being able to recruit and being able to identify talent, like, it really sets me apart from some other people. And I think it was just a marriage
okay.
made in heaven. Back to this first part of that question. I mean, if you for people who haven't followed, like, it's really bad on the college landscape, just because
Okay.
think COVID. If you can't leave your house and you can't go live on campus, you can't really have a college semester
Yeah,
without kids. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
and without kids
yeah.
to feed and house and have some of those funds, colleges, tennis is
Mm,
a great sport and it's a super cool professional entity, but on the college level, like, it's not exactly like tennis is the Amazon
yeah,
of businesses. We're not bringing in a ton of money. We
yeah,
don't charge. You may pay $100 to go to the U.S. Open, but you don't pay $100 to go in an NJCU tennis match.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so
So it's
unfortunately, at the D1 level, if you can't play football, something like that where they bring in so much money, the football money trickles down to all the other sports. So if there's no
mm,
football and there's no March Madness, there's no basketball, there's no money for anybody else to drive around the
and they
country
need
and
to
play
cut
tournaments.
somewhere. Yeah,
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 so that's it. So they've been cutting a lot of programs all over, and I feel bad. I know a lot of kids who programs are being cut. The kid that just flew in yesterday, Theo Bourgel from France, he's a D1 star at D1, and his program at Wright State, a D1 team, they got cut, and we sort of, he's coming to NJCU as a D1 guy who could play with the best, best of players. He was one of the top juniors in France. He's over
okay.
here because we were just talked about it yesterday, like, you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, he was going to be at this D1 program, and now because of a pandemic, which you can't forecast,
Yeah,
he's over here with us. So we're lucky. But I'm also trying to make sure I'm identifying those guys, because it's unfortunate, but it also, at every cloud, there's a silver lining, and
the,
the silver lining can
the,
be, like I'm telling these kids, being a part
yeah,
of a program and a university where they're moving forward right now, as
yeah.
opposed to sort of being scared and cutting things and doing things like that.
There,
So it's just been
there
a
can always
blessing
be
and it's been an awesome experience so far. And we haven't even dropped the tennis ball yet, so it's only going to get better.
okay. And what would be your goal with the team? Do you have like a long-term goal or a short-term goal? What goal would you this
Yeah,
year
I mean,
or the
like I
following year?
said,
Yeah.
you know, some people, I think you had mentioned briefly, like, when I talk to people when I came to NJCU, for a lot of people, starting a program from scratch before a pandemic sounds like a super hard feat. But for me, like, I think it's just a completely unique opportunity. How often can you say that, you started something
Yeah.
from scratch and are going to be there and set your own standards and set, your own culture, and have a bunch of people from day one where you're sort of a family, and you start that way, and it just carries on, over the course of history. I think we're hoping. But for us, like I tell people, part of the reason that I was able, to be successful and get back into coaching when I was doing ATP stuff is I just have one of my talents is sort of the ability to sort of assess and make some changes at a very quick pace. So
Okay.
a lot of these kids coming in who, are maybe transfers, or they were, unsatisfied with programs they were at, or they may not be, like I tell kids all the time, I don't want the best, I don't need the top 10 best ranked UTR players. What I want is 10 guys who really want to be, or 10 guys or girls who really want to be together, enjoy the experience, root for one another. They want to find things in their game. They want to work on things. And so, there's a lot of kids who, coaches wouldn't take because their UTR, so to speak, is so low. But to me, just watching their videos, I'm like, oh, this guy has these, again, you're looking at him, instead of criticizing them in a negative way, you're saying, oh, I see the possibilities in stroke A, stroke B, stroke C, and we're going to sort of hone those. Right. And sort of hone those and turn those into, strengths. And I really think we're in a conference where the conference has played tennis for 20 years, and there's one team in the conference who has won 20 titles every single time. They've never lost a conference match. And I really believe we're going to have the opportunity to beat them year one. And I think after a couple of years, I think we're going to be the new top dogs, not only in New Jersey and Jersey City, but in D3 and all of the nation. I mean, we've got some really great players and some guys who really want to get better and have the ability to. So,
okay, fantastic. I'm really looking forward to follow that. Yeah. I mean, I had a few questions. I know I've sort of asked them before to you, but as a father with kids who do play tennis, we are kind of, I mean, it's difficult to say in these times, but we're also kind of looking at that route of going to applying for a college in the US. When you recruit, what do you look at? I think you might have just answered that previously, but it's what are the main, like if you had to say 2 or 3 things that you look at, what would be your top things?
Yeah, I think, and again, like part of it as well is, we're talking a lot about tennis, but like at this level, like they're called student athletes for a reason, right? Like you're coming here to be a student. You're going to college to work on your academic. So I think like sometimes kids when they're young, obviously, you think about you're a dreamer, and when you were 15, 16, you were still pretty confident you were about to be number 1 in the world and win in Wimbledon. You know what I'm saying? So not to say we're trying to crush those dreams, but to try to think about like, hey, this isn't like a tennis academy. You have to pick, right? You have to pick. I mean, it is for that compartmentalized piece, but like you have to look at it from, hey, what do I really like to do in life? How can how can that be a progress of a tract of education? So you've got to find a place. For instance, being at SCAD, NJCU is a little bit more of a Division I institute where they're huge and we do everything. But sometimes, there's for instance, at SCAD, there's kids who very specifically want to be fashion designers, or they know they want to do is, I remember when I was there, they started a perfume program. Man, if you've got the specific enough dream to be a perfumist, you know what you want to do. So you know what I'm saying? You can't go to, you can't go to University of Florida and be a perfumist. You've got to specifically go to a place that has that. So
certain
I think
places.
Right. Yeah, you can't go to Ohio and be a marine biologist. It's not going to work for you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to.
And I also think, I also think if I mean, I think as kids grow older, they kind of realize their level in tennis quite quickly after 16, 17. And I think, in college tennis, I don't know that much about it. It's a bit foreign to us here, but it seems to me, unless you're in like position 1 in the D1 top 30 university, college, etc., the chances of maybe going pro is extremely slim.
Maybe it's a longer answer, and I'm kind of a tennis nerd, so I can get deep into it. But just as an example, it's not always the case. So, like for instance, SCAD was in the NAIA, which when you look at it is the 4th rung, right? It's the lowest rung if you just look at it on paper. D1, D2, D3, NAIA. But that's actually not the case, because when I was at SCAD, I had the number one female in the nation, and she was from Thailand, and she decided she could go pro. She literally was so good.
Okay.
She destroyed her opposition immediately, and is just an absolute shark out there. But she wanted to
Okay.
specifically design clothing. And
Okay.
just as much as
Okay.
she wanted to play tennis, she wanted to be a clothing designer. So
All right.
she decided to go to SCAD, and honestly, like, she plays tournaments, and she, in the summer circuit, like, she beats girls who are going to go pro. And
Okay.
I think, if you don't know the name of the team, Georgia Gwinnett is a team we played at SCAD. Georgia Gwinnett has I think the amateur sports and maybe all of sports record. I think they currently are on a 130 something match winning streak.
Okay. Well,
And
all right.
their number one player, like, one of my favorite stories to tell guys is their number one player over there. Imagine this guy going to have a coach at Georgia Gwinnett College, which nobody has heard of. His personal coach was Guillermo Coria,
Oh,
the
okay. All
Grand
right.
Slam winner. So
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
it's just like, very specifically, you find out where you want to go, and you may go somewhere to, a college degree. Again, like tennis now, is tennis going to be able to pay for your whole life? These people can go pro, but are
Yeah.
they going to be able to earn enough? No. So you need to get a degree as well. And so sometimes you can do both of those things, and then decide, afterwards. Obviously it's an incubator for 4 years of high level competition, so anything can happen when you get out of it. So.
Okay. And okay. And as if you are, I mean, if you're not from the US, it can be a bit confusing. What is the main difference between the divisions? I mean, what is a division 1, 2, and 3? What is there something specific that differentiates them?
Yeah, so a very quick and dirty way to put it is D1 is sort of the biggest, the big money, the giant schools, tons of kids, 30,000 kids.
Okay.
D2 is smaller colleges. D3 is generally academic driven colleges. And then
Okay.
NAIA, oh, actually joke, NAIA we call the Wild West, because the NAIA doesn't have as many rules. So,
Oh, okay.
right. So,
All
like,
right.
for instance, there are people who went and played pro on a certain level, and then they're like, well, now they can't play NCAA. Well, you can go play some NAIA.
Okay. Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
that's kind of the quick and
Interesting.
dirty.
Yeah. Okay. And if you're a player who's considering, this is more a question that for my personal interest, if you're considering to apply for college, tennis scholarship, college, etc., there's a ton of agencies out there. Is it worthwhile using an agency, or is it better to apply directly to the coach?
That's a very tough question to answer. So, like, from my perspective, there's probably 50% of agencies that I literally refuse to talk to, no matter how good the
Okay.
player is, because honestly, the morals and the way they do things, it's like a used car salesman, and they don't care about the
Okay.
kid. It's true. They don't care about the kid. They don't care about the program. They don't care about anything. They're just trying to
Okay.
churn and burn and make some money. And then on the other hand, you get less access, right? If you're just John Thompson, and you just send a random email, the coach doesn't know your
Yeah.
name. He doesn't know where you're coming from. Honestly, he doesn't know if it's spam, for all he knows.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a hard question to answer. The way I sort of look at it is, pick, maybe make some tiers of, hey, these are the places, these are the 10 places I really want to go to. These are 10 more places I also am kind of interested in, and these are 10 places close to my house or close to a region where I know an uncle or an aunt. Email those 30 people. If you don't get one email back, you may want to look into somebody or ask around somebody from an academy,
Okay.
somebody's at college. Ask them, hey, did you use somebody? Can you give me his information? Can I talk to him? And if you make a good connection, there's two or there, I get a lot of, I specifically try to find players who personally put their information out there, because I think
Okay.
it shows initiative for a young man or young woman. But at the same time, there are guys that I know that are great guys that you would you would love to have a dinner with, and you always, you get on the phone and talk about personal matters that are just good guys. And when they send you a person, that they check out. So
Okay.
it works both ways, so
Okay. You can
if
use both, really. Yeah. Yeah. But
pluses and
that's a
minuses.
good good advice. Maybe first try it on your own and
Yeah,
see how far that gets you, and then maybe try
yeah,
and get a good agency. Yeah.
yeah.
You've worked with, I assume, with players from lots of different nationalities. And yeah, I just was wondering, is there any nationality that struck you as being that you get along with better, or that you prefer, or that tennis-wise they seem to bring always good players?
Well, I mean, me and you both know Italians are the best.
Really? I,
just
no, I'm
just
not too
kidding.
sure about that.
Right.
But
Just kidding.
yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah,
But obviously, I mean,
yeah,
the Italian players
yeah.
I've had, obviously, at least for me, like, I'm not from Italy, but I'm a couple generations removed, and like I studied over there, so like I know quite a bit about the culture, and like I follow Roma, and I'm a huge national team fan, so like you end up having the
Okay,
kid comes over and we have like a meatball competition, like like there's certain
okay,
things you share in common with whatever your own ethnicity is. But I think the best part about tennis, and the best part about what I try to do in building my teams that is the most fun, is I think it's almost like making a good stew, right? If you only have soup and chicken, if you only have water
yeah,
and chicken, it's going to taste pretty bland. But if you throw in carrots and peppers and all different kinds of ingredients, it becomes a more
spices.
delicious stew,
Okay,
and
yeah,
honestly, I think it brings out so many fun little idiosyncrasies when my team right now is India, South Africa, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and Russia. And it's
oh,
like,
do you have a South African? I wasn't
I
aware of
do.
that.
I
Oh,
finally got one. I thought you'd be proud of me when I saw knowing you're from South
oh,
Africa. And
I might know him. Who is he?
it's a girl. Her name's Lisa McKenzie.
Oh, no, I don't know. No. She's probably
She's
a bit older as
awesome.
well.
She's one of those
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
I feel like South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, like that. Some of those areas, like there's sorts of a certain kind of adventurous spirit that you folks have down there that
Yeah.
you sort of it sometimes it comes through in one of the kids, and you're like, man, I cannot wait to get this kid on the court. And this girl called me, and she was talking about like she can't get coached the proper coaching. She just wants to be free out there. She wants to have fun. And I was like, this girl sounds like a fantastic addition. So
Okay.
yeah,
Do you know if she's from Cape Town, Johannesburg?
I
Do you know?
honestly, I've seen some of her pictures and stuff, and like she lives in like a giant farm. Like she's pretty like
Okay.
out there as far as like. So I don't think she lives near any major city. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like she was like doing She sent me pictures over the weekend. She had like a bonfire and was like riding a bull or a cow or something, and I was like, man.
Okay. Yeah, no,
She's like,
that
I'm
sounds
thinking to
right.
myself,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking to myself, man, she's really gonna think a subway looks weird when she gets over here to New Jersey City.
Okay. Yeah, you must let me know how she gets along. That will be very interesting. Going
Yeah,
from there to New York
yeah.
or New Jersey is quite a leap.
And I think
Um, yeah.
it's something I try to like convey to kids too, is like back to what you're talking about, like you have to try to think. I know you maybe haven't experienced, but like if you're going to New York City, Jersey City, like the Northeast City area, like you better
Mm,
understand like it's pretty heavy of an experience. If you are from a farm, you may want to consider that, like if you're ready for that.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. On a different topic. Yeah. On the well, I'll ask this later, but I see you seem to be a very big sports fan. Not only tennis. You like, I see, baseball, football, obviously tennis and soccer. But there's one thing I noticed. Everybody has flaws and weaknesses, and you seem to have a very big weakness. Why Manchester United?
That's fair. I'll take that hit. I'll take that shot.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and it's so bad. It's like being a Man U fan. Like you have to have an explanation. It's like you're in a you know, a court of
yeah.
law and order to explain yourself. But mine's very simple. When I was, the first time I watched United was when United won the treble and that last minute Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, back in
Yeah,
the 90s.
I remember
And
that.
to be
Yeah.
honest, soccer was the only sport that I didn't know about. And when I started to see it, I thought it was pretty cool and I wanted to get into watching it. And to be honest, there were only two teams that were ever on TV over here when I was a kid, and they were Real Madrid and they were Man United.
Manchester
And
United.
and
Okay.
I was a young kid, and David Beckham was the coolest guy. He
Okay.
was like and then Roy Keane was like a superhero, and I sort of fell in love with them, and then that was it. You can't change your team then, right? Like, then I
Well, I mean,
realized that
there's
everybody
always
hated Man
room for
United.
improvement, I say, but okay. Yeah. Now, also, you are. It seems to me you're very talented. You're like multi-talented. Something I'm not. But I see
Hey,
also.
they're great
I was.
radio.
But you are also. I actually listened to some of your music. You obviously sing, and you had a band called Sabbatical Year. Um, how did you get into that? Do you play any instruments? And by the way, I mean, it sounds like you could have done really well. I quite enjoy. It's not. It's not exactly my type of music, but I appreciate it. I like it. And yeah, how did you get into music?
Well, I mean, thanks for saying that. I really appreciate it. Obviously, it's one of those hobbies that a lot of people have, and it's almost like, if you're a painter or something, like if you have the passion for it, like it's something you just love to do, and you don't necessarily do it for a career to make money or anything. It's just something you enjoy to do in your free time and your spare time or with friends or. But I sing, I write songs, and I play piano and drums. And I
Okay.
always messed around like everybody else. And then just kind of got around with the right group of guys, and it was a hobby. And then I had a career doing the PR stuff from on my own, where I didn't necessarily have an office to go into or like a schedule to keep. Same thing with tennis, coaching tennis. Like it's whenever you set up the training times. It's not a 9 to 5 job in an office. So I had the time to do it, and it got more serious, and there were some talented guys I worked with who were very sort of knew a lot about software and music software, and we built our own studio and bought our own stuff and recorded our own
Okay.
stuff. And it was right at the time where CDs and record sales and record companies were sort of changing, where a lot of people started to just go directly to the fans. So like we released it ourselves, and we set up a tour ourselves. We actually
Okay.
played a couple baseball stadiums, so it was pretty cool. Got kind of
Oh, wow.
regionally big, and I think once the band changed and obviously you start to grow and you get older, you have kids, so you can't tour the world unless you're Guns N' Roses. You don't necessarily have the
Mm.
money to be able to do that stuff. So I did it on my own, kept the Sabbatical Year name, and I had another little bit of success. Had a residency in New York City with some of the tracks I sent you. Released my own little album, and was on the radio in the Northeast, and was able to play places in New York City, and toured the Northeast and played in Philadelphia, which has ended up why I took the USciences job, because I was like, oh, I thought Philadelphia was a cool town when I went and played music through it. So
Okay.
yeah, it's one of those things that unfortunately it didn't pay a bunch of money, but because I was able to just put
Would,
my focuses into it and make time for it, now I can say, when I was a kid and I, dreamed of when I watched TV and saw Led Zeppelin and thought I would love to be a rock star, in my own little way, I was able to carve out some time where I was able to play some live shows, release an album, and kind of something you can always, tell your kids or whatever and say, hey, it was pretty fun.
yeah.
When you go try to do it, you never know what can happen. And, I always try to
Yeah.
do
Sorry.
experiences like that are sort of priceless. So
Yeah. Talking about Led Zeppelin, many years ago, I actually remember reading an interview with Jimmy Page, and they were asking him what bands to look out for, and his answer was Radiohead. And I'm a big
my
fan of
band.
Radiohead, and I see you seem to be a big fan of Radiohead too.
Yeah, that's my favorite band ever. I just sort
Okay.
of got into them. I don't really. Somebody dropped OK Computer in my lap one time and stuck it in my CD player, and that was it for me. I thought it was the coolest, most different thing I've ever heard. And I was
That's when
lucky
they were
enough.
already changing a bit their music, I think.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
changed from like
yeah,
sort of like grunge or hardcore, not rock, like alternative rock.
yeah,
They changed to something different, something like
yeah,
Pink Floydy, Bowie, sort of kind of a thing,
exactly. Yeah.
and just carried it from there. And yeah, I'm pretty obsessed with them. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of money, allowance money and job money working as a grocery store bagger, and went and bought my tickets and saw them all over the nation. And then through my writing, I actually was able to get. I wrote briefly when I was playing music. I wrote for a music magazine, and they actually foot the bill to send me to Europe to cover them in
Oh, fantastic.
Switzerland. Yeah, so I went to
Okay.
Switzerland and saw them live in like an enchanted forest in the middle of the Swiss Alps. It felt like,
Okay.
and it was
Nice.
just
Yeah.
obviously an experience like that you can't even imagine. I actually saw they posted it during the pandemic with quarantine. They posted it on YouTube, like, "Oh, you're staying in. Here's like something from the archives." And it was cool to rewatch it, from a place I was, and
Mm.
I was, wow, what a cool experience. But yeah, that's my band. I could go on and talk. They're like tennis to me. I could talk about them for hours.
Uh, is there any band or artist right now that you by the way, in my podcast I try not to talk only tennis,
Yeah,
but is there any band that you also right now are listening to, anything that's really, or artist that you think is really good?
this is gonna make me sound like a super super old guy, but like honestly, I don't know that I've heard anything in maybe 10 years that I've really liked. But I
Well, I'm the
think,
same. I'm the same.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
like I like a lot of the bands. Like maybe same thing. Radiohead, they've continued to put out music, a lot of that stuff. But I will say I like a band like I enjoy is, I don't know if you've ever heard Real Estate. Um,
I've
they're
heard of them. Yeah. Yeah.
they're a good band. I mean, they're still pretty active. Obviously, a guy like I think who sort of carried the ball a little bit as far as like being able to make good songwriting, but also like push the boundaries is Tame Impala. That's a solid guy there. Kevin Parker, I think his name is. He does Tame Impala, who's like pretty popular. I think he works with pretty high level stars now. I was a big Bon Iver fan. I think he's a really
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
solid.
listen to him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he helped like do the new Taylor Swift. So those guys are keeping their names out there because they're
Mm.
just, if you're a super talented songwriter, like you're always gonna shine through. So there definitely are a few. I don't listen to them as much, but I kind of go, at a
Yeah.
certain age, you kind of go back to the well with your favorites. But yeah, I always
Yeah.
check out a new Bon Iver, a new Tame Impala, Real Estate. Those are like three that I check out when they come out. I mean, honestly, Ed O'Brien just released his first, the guitarist from Radiohead, and his album is awesome.
Oh, really? I
That was
must listen to that then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in like the last year, and I thought that was awesome. I love Ed
Okay.
O'Brien. He's a great, solid guitar player, so his album is very cool.
Okay, Nick. I don't want to keep you too long. I think we're already going pretty long, so I'll skip to the second part where it's rapid fire. It's all
Oh
kind of
man,
questions. If you can just keep it short, or if you want to elaborate, you can elaborate. But yeah, there's quite a few questions just to get to know you a bit.
okay.
What's your very first memory of tennis?
My very first memory of tennis was when Andre Agassi. Me paying attention to tennis was Andre Agassi and his clothes and his hair. I mean, that locked me in forever.
Okay. How did you start playing? Was it a parent, a coach, or something like that? Did you
My
go to a group?
my uncle has been in New York City, New York area tennis pro for probably 50 years. So he got me into it. Once he
Okay.
saw that I thought Agassi was cool, he was like, "Let's start hitting some balls."
Do you still play matches? Do you have time for that? Or
I every once in a while I pull up my old man pants and I'll beat one of the kids in like a tiebreaker. But honestly, like yeah, I enjoy the competition. So necessary like going and playing like on a USTA over 35 league like doesn't excite me as much as like joking around with the kids and trying to get a see if they can get a set off coach. So I do play some of the kids and sometimes they will just pummel me into the ground, which is to be expected.
define what type of player you are if somebody doesn't know you, hasn't seen you.
I think it's the same thing I teach my kids as well. And what my program tries to do is like, we want to take destiny into our own hands. So we go for things. We gamble. We go for things. We want to be the dominant presence so we can say, hey, I left it all out there on the table. It didn't work out for me, but at least, I can feel good knowing that I tried my hardest and went for everything.
Your best shot?
Oh, inside out forehand.
Okay. Did you have a tennis idol growing up? Maybe you
Agassi.
answered that already.
Agassi, and yeah, I actually kind of got into Roddick. I thought he sort of did the same thing for a while. He was sort of like this big gun, and you want to root on the Americans, so I sort of followed him as well.
Did you have no, sorry, currently any player, male or female, that you really enjoy watching?
Oh, I mean, I like actually watching Sophia Kenin, the U.S. player.
Yeah.
She just does a bunch of different things that are so fun to watch. Coco Gauff, obviously, she's 16 years old. She plays like a 26-year-old Grand Slam champion, so she's going to be great. And on the guys' side, I've coached players who have played alongside a lot of the young Americans. So guys like Taylor Fritz and Riley Opelka are cool guys. I sort of have had experience with them, so it's fun to sort of back them a little bit. But
Okay.
I'm a big time Dominique Thiem fan. All in camp team. I think when I tried that racket, I was like, oh, what a cool looking racket. That actually changed me from Wilson to Babala. So I play the whole. I have the team racket and everything. I think all his stuff and his game is just fantastic. I think he's the next Nadal, where he gives 1,000% effort, which I love.
Yeah. The big three, if you have to list them from your favorite to least favorite, big three being Nadal, Djokovic, Federer.
Yeah, Fed, Nadal, Djokovic, it would have to be.
Okay.
Federer's just, I mean, what can you say about him? And then you can't dislike Nadal because he works so hard. And although Djokovic is sort of a little bit cheesy and wanting for attention, he is a good. I think he at the core of things. I think he's got the best interests in mind. I think he just wishes maybe he was thought of in a better way, but you can't control that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Best match that you have ever seen? It can be a junior, a college, a pro, any match.
Gosh,
is the one
that's super hard. That's super hard. I'll shout out to my guy Oscar Serra, fellow Italian. He took him to Player of the Year last year at USciences in the fall. He played his ITA. He just came over from Italy. Played his first match our ITAs were at the U.S. Open site, Billie Jean King Tennis Center, and nobody knew who he was. And he came out there and absolutely destroyed one of the top players in the draw. And we literally, it was his first match I coached him in, and we like jumped into a hugging embrace, screaming after the match. So I think it really set the tone of what I bring to the table as a coach with like my enthusiasm and how much I care for a player's success.
Okay. What's the best tournament in the world, or your favorite tournament?
I mean, I've not been lucky enough to go to all of the slams, but I mean, the U.S. Open is, I think a lot of people would agree that it's definitely something that you have to see because it's just so different. Again, I'm partial because I'm from New York. So I just think it's got a lot of New York City infused in how cool it is. So I think it's like tennis, but also like rock and roll and entertainment. And I think it's definitely has to be seen to be believed in person.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
your favorite court or surface? I mean, What's your favorite surface?
I mean, I've played like any American. I played so much on hard. I do have to say, I just moved out here and found a court in Jersey that was grass. It's only my second time playing on grass. I think grass is so fun to play on because you have to be completely all over the ball because it jumps up so quickly off you. So I think that's fun. I think that's the most fun. But a hard court, I think, it for an American tennis player, like that's where your game is sort of honed. So you're very used to it.
I see from your Twitter that you are, I don't know if you say sponsored or what, by Babolat and Fila, but one of my questions is all-time favorite racket.
Oops, sorry, Babolat, I love you so much. The Sampras Pro Staff, baby. Wilson Sampras Pro Staff. That thing is an absolute tank of a tennis racket. I think anybody who's ever played with that thing knows that it's the Excalibur of tennis rackets.
What strings and tension do you use?
Oh, I just said this on the Twitter the other day, but RPM Blast for life. That's the Nadal and the team string. And then I have to shout out this secret to us old coaches and old players still being able to play at a high level with the young kids is I string at 40.
Wow. Well, I'm going down as well. I've gone down to 46 and I'm thinking to go lower, but yeah.
Oh, you're loving it. See, once you go into the 40s, you never go back. I'll tell you.
Okay. I'll let you know. Is there a tennis club that you've been to that really stands out, like your favorite club that you've ever been to?
Ooh, that's a super tough one. I mean, I was lucky enough to train for a little while and coach for a brief period at IMG Tennis Academy. In my opinion, if you're a tennis fan, it is the Disney World of tennis. Like, it's the coolest place. It's got the best coaches, the best players. One of my personal heroes in tennis is Nick Margiasso. I think he's the best coach to ever do it. I think he sort of taps on something that's not necessarily all X's and O's. Sometimes it's about the heart and about the head and just wanting it more. And I think that's what helped Agassi, and that's what drives that academy. And to me, that's like my place. I absolutely love it.
Okay. This one's a bit different. You have to book a restaurant and you can only invite 3 players. It can be male, female, of any era. Which restaurant and which players?
This is going to be reasonably easy, maybe easier than it should be. But my favorite restaurant as a kid is a Italian restaurant called Borelli's on Long Island, New York. That's my favorite.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I lived there for probably the longest. When I was a kid, I moved around a lot, but that was where it was, right next to, if you know hockey, the Islanders Coliseum. So it's right there.
Okay.
Yep, and so that would be the restaurant. I've been going there since my first birthday, and I would have to pick. I would have to pick Agassi. I think he's a cool guy. I would have to pick maybe Serena Williams. I think her story and what she's overcome and becoming a mom and playing and just her whole deal has been so obviously inspiring for so many people. She'd have to be there. And then, gosh, you know what? Right now, my newest international player, Theo Borgel, is sitting in a dorm at Jersey City University waiting on breakfast. So I'm gonna bring him too because I know he needs to be well fed.
Well, he'll be very impressed.
Yeah.
And who's gonna pick up the bill?
Coach has got to pick up the bill. Coach has got to pick up the bill. Is it?
You're not gonna like push it? No.
A good host. A good host has got to. I think you got to pick up the bill. I think if you're picking the restaurant, you got to pick the bill up.
Do you like cooking?
I do. I don't consider myself a great all-around chef, but I do consider myself arguably the best Italian food chef outside of Italy.
Okay. Wow.
My specialty is eggplant and meatballs. So get at me if you want to have a chef throwdown. I'll take anybody on.
Okay, I must try that. Parmigiana, very nice. Do you have a favorite pizza?
Oh, gotta go Marguerite or Grandma, the square. Just you got to make it good
Okay.
with just cheese and sauce. If you can't do it with that, you're not doing it right
Okay.
anyway. Got to have the
So
base.
the traditional. Okay.
Traditional. Yep.
Traditional. And there must be a lot of good. Well, I've been there a few times. There's a lot of good pizza places where you're from and in around that area.
Yeah, well, you're a big time. You're a bigger pizza expert than I am. You've got your own
Yeah.
pizza store restaurant going on, so you're the expert.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would say when you come to visit us or taking a match in Jersey City, you have to bring your recipe because there's tons of pizza places here.
I'll do
How you stack up? I do.
Okay. Are you more a tea or a coffee guy?
Oh, that's tough. I'm an espresso guy. I like tea, but I don't really like Americano, like regular, just old-fashioned coffee. I'm an espresso, double shot espresso.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's my go-to.
Favorite movie, if you have one?
Oh man. Let me say anything by Stanley Kubrick. I'm big Kubrick fan. Also a big Scorsese fan. I actually just rewatched The Irishman, which a lot of people don't rewatch, but big Scorsese, big.
I was a bit. I'm a huge Scorsese fan as well, but I don't know. I have to rewatch The Irishman because it didn't convince me the first time.
Give it a rewatch. I agree with you. I think the same thing as you. I gave it a rewatch. I had nothing to do over a weekend, and the kids were asleep, so I broke it up in naps and broke it up. Maybe let's try it that way. Do it an hour at a time.
An hour at a time. Okay. Do you have any hobbies that are a bit unique, or what? Do you have any hobbies that are quite different?
I collect tennis shoes.
Okay.
I'm a big shoe, like a sneaker person. I love them, and so with being sponsored, but also like loving the Agassi shoes when I was a kid.
This is the part of the interview where the tornado warning happened and we got cut off. No worries, Coach Nick still alive, and we continued the following day. So the end of the interview is following right now. Nick?
Hello, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks. We're back. How was are you still alive? How was the tornado?
Yeah, I'm talking to you from the afterlife right now. Yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, we're talking. It was like sunny. I live on the beach. It was like real sunny, and then it's got like a little darker. And then I heard a tornado siren. The thing cut off, and then it was just all hell broke loose. So it was weird. It happens like that on the coast, you know.
Is that quite normal there?
I've lived on like coastline before, and I feel like it's like that a lot of places. But since I just moved here, obviously to get the job. To come to Jersey. So since I've been here, we've already had a hurricane and a tornado, and I've lived here for 3 weeks.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Right.
Well, thanks for being back. We had like in a tennis match, it was a really great interview with momentum, and then there was like a sudden drop shot, and everything went bad. But no, I'm joking. But no, it was really good. One thing I forgot to ask you also, since you are close to New York City, is with the US Open just around the corner. What's your thoughts? Who do you think's going to who's your favorite, men's and women?
I sort of went on the record with everybody I knew and said this last year, and I was slightly late. I thought last year was going to be team's breakthrough, but I really think he's going to win the U.S. Open on the guys' side.
Okay.
Okay. And I think I'm probably going to go for if not Sophia Kenin to continue her dominance. I really think Kim Clijsters is going to just destroy everybody.
Okay. Wow. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, she plays the game. There's a reason she's not just, deciding willy-nilly to come back out of retirement. her game is still so much better. Like the definitive style of her game and her dominant sort of prowess. Like, I can go into a lot about coaching women, and like I feel like a lot of people waste the chance for so many talented women, and they just sort of make them hit the same ball back and forth a million times. And I think you saw, if anybody watched World Team Tennis, Clijsters went in there as a twice retired mom of almost 40 and just absolutely bludgeoned these players. And I think that's really going to happen.
She still hits a big forehand.
Absolutely giant. Yeah. And she's got she's got the pure drive, which is, I'm sure, strung down, which is what all old people do.
so it's a bomb. We finished yesterday. We're towards the end of the rapid fire. I think you were talking about one of your weird hobbies is to collect tennis shoes. I think we got cut off there. Any tennis shoe that any favorite pair there?
I mean the Agassi, like the Challenges that I think everybody remembers, the first really cool shoe. I love those. But like the Nike Air Oscillates, which is what Sampras wore forever, and then Fed picked up for a little while. Honestly, the Kyrgios, I didn't talk enough about my guy Nick Kyrgios, but shout out to his shoe crossover with Kyrie Irving. Those shoes are fantastic. Those are
I see those.
Those are awesome. And then, I mean, one of the coolest ones I've not yet been able to decide to part my money with is when they did the Air Jordan Federer crossover, like at the US Open a few years ago. I think you can buy those for like $1,000 online. So I haven't really pulled that trigger yet, but I'm pretty obsessed with it. And they just came out with the new, like basically to revamp the Agassi line, and they gave the shoes to TFO, so he'll have those on for US Open. Those are pretty cool.
I actually saw that. They look very nice. Another question here: are you superstitious?
Oh gosh, that's I mean, I guess I have to say that I am. I would, sometimes I would like to think no, but then I think like I only play tennis balls, like if I have a choice, if I'm going through that are fours, so like Penn fours or Babalov fours, I only play fours. So that's obviously a super weird superstition right there. And I don't know if it's a superstition, but I still do the old school rubber band vibration dampener. I don't do new vibration dampeners. I do the old school rubber band.
With the rubber band, yeah. Okay.
Can't beat that, man. You're an old hacker if you got that going on.
Yeah. Apart from the US, your country, is there a favorite country that you like to visit?
I mean, Italy. I've probably gone to more times than any. Obviously, it's arguably the most fantastic country. There's coast, there's history, there's all kinds of great stuff. I'm also a huge fan, huge fan after visiting for the first time a couple years ago of Belgium. That's a little bit of a random one that I just absolutely adored that country. So I'll probably be back there one day.
Yeah, I went there a long time ago, and also I really enjoyed it, especially the Brussels. There's a lot of cafes and beer and people eating outside. I really enjoyed it.
The people have a real cool disposition, a very, very chilled out disposition, and very smart and very interesting people for such a small country. So I really enjoyed that. I've never gotten down to your sort of area. I hope to do that at one point. Those seem like some countries that I would really get into, but I think maybe for us, at least in America, that's a pretty long travel. I think that's right.
You have to really plan it, because it is quite a. There is a direct flight, New York, Cape Town, but it's a long one.
What is that? What does that got to be? How long is that?
I think, and you stop over on the west coast of Africa somewhere. So you're looking, I think, about 16 hours
Yeah,
in the plane. That's without stopovers and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's big time. That's like you're
Yeah.
taking basically for jet lag, like that's like 4 days of time just to like get
Yeah.
over getting there.
And I did that, and believe it or not, I did that with my wife and my 3-month-old baby. So many
So
years ago. Yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
My baby's my first kid's her first trip overseas, her first travel was overseas as well. And as soon as we got on the, obviously I'm sure you're so anxious, you don't know what's going to happen, you have a little baby, and as soon as
Yeah.
we got on the plane and sat down, she threw up on the guy next to us.
Fantastic.
All right, I was like, got that out of the way, it can't go any worse than this.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to free a bit of space as well.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. Last few questions. Do you think tennis is the most difficult sport in the world, or do you think there's other sports that are just as difficult?
I don't. I think it's extremely difficult. I'm of the, like I said, I'm an American, so I've been more also into American sports my whole life. But I am of the opinion that the hardest thing to do in all of sport is to hit a baseball at a professional level. So it's ironic because also guys just sit and drink beer and get fat when they're not doing that. So there's like no aerobic part of baseball. However, to hit a moving 95-mile-an-hour pitch is nearly impossible to do. I was like a pretty good baseball player, and I walked on in college, and I was like pretty good in high school, and I could not. Once the ball got faster than 80 miles an hour, I literally never hit the ball again. So I couldn't even imagine 20 miles an hour more than that, like how you could do it. But I will say that tennis, because of this 5-set format, the amount of training that has to go into it, how hard you have to hit the ball, all that stuff. Like, I mean, I would say it's like, it's like playing soccer with a tennis racket. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very, it's at the very top of the hardest sports to play. So I would say it's very close.
Okay, and 30 years from now, let's say it's 2050, do you think tennis will look very different to what it is now?
Well, you're assuming that we survive 2020, first of all.
Well, yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't want to end or come to the end on a negative kind of thing, but I feel like with the way the world is changing, nobody has time for anything. Nobody has attention spans. I honestly feel like in 30 years, tennis is going to be two guys in a tiny room. It's going to last 15 minutes, and that's it. I feel like it's probably going to look a lot more like ping pong, maybe.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, you followed UTS that Patrick Maratalu did, and that thing is the most egregious thing I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know. I actually talked about these things, and I'm a bit more, I mean, I'm traditional, but I'm also a bit more open-minded. But I don't want to talk about it now because it will take a long time. But after watching that, maybe because there was no tennis to watch, I watched a lot of that. And I don't know, towards the end, I was kind of, there was a few things that I really enjoyed. But anyway, that's another discussion.
Right. I think some changes have been good and need to come, but like, as far as like, turning the match into 4 games and whoever, that's not even the same sport,
Yeah, exactly.
That's just my opinion.
Last thing, I do a super tie break, 10 choices. The perfect all-time player. You can choose again any era, male, female. The serve.
Oh man. I mean, gosh, you'd almost pick Federer for every one of these, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Sampras.
Sampras. The return.
Agassi.
Forehand.
Ooh. I'm gonna get real wild here and go Robin Soderling.
Wow.
I mean, hey,
Okay,
it
that's
beat the best. It beat the best ever player on a surface ever. You know?
okay. You mean Nadal?
Yeah, yeah. That thing is an
Okay.
absolute bomb. That forehand he's got. It's unfortunate what happened to him health wise.
Backhand.
I'm gonna have to say Vavrinka.
Okay. Volley.
Fed.
Drop shot.
Nick, curious.
Yeah. Movement.
Probably Djokovic.
Mentality.
Djokovic also. That guy's an absolute jail cell of a mental game. He doesn't play around.
Touch. Feel. Touch.
Federer for sure.
Okay. And all round sort of court personality.
You mean like game or like?
Well, yeah, I mean, like personality, not on off the court, like on the court, how they are, even though you can't
Gotcha.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
if yeah,
Um, that's a tough one. I mean, I guess I might say Guga Kirtan. I mean, he was the most fun dude. He was just a super
yeah,
fun guy to watch. He enjoyed it so much, and he loved the fans, and he loved winning, and he was a great guy, I think, to watch, and nobody ever said a bad word about that guy. So I think that's a good one.
yeah, yeah. I loved him as well. Nick, we've finished, and I finish off with a question which I actually sort of stole from a famous Italian interviewer, and it doesn't have to be personal, but
Another
if you
one,
can,
a different one.
yeah, you, ask yourself a question. It can be any question, not tennis, any question. Ask yourself a question and answer it.
Oh, uh, ask myself a question and answer it. Uh, you
Doesn't
know,
have to be too deep either,
okay.
It can be, yeah.
How about where do we go from here? And the answer is the only way to go is up.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's it, Nick. I think we talked a lot. I really enjoyed it, and as I said, I really enjoy also following you, and it was a great talk. And yeah, I think you seem to be a great person and a great personality as well. So I'm sure your teams, you create great teams, tennis teams, and so yeah. And
I
who
mean,
knows, maybe, yeah, sorry.
no, I appreciate it. That's super
Yeah,
nice to hear those things.
yeah,
I really appreciate it. I enjoyed having this time with you to talk about NJCU and some of that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think
yeah.
like when I recruit, I tell my kids, I think if you talk to me for 45 minutes, you get a pretty good idea about who I am, and then also like how I cultivate a team. And like last night we had my first two French guys, international guys, come over to NJCU. We were hanging out in the dorms, social distancing at 2 a.m. last night, just trying to make sure
Okay.
everyone was comfortable. I bought the kids sheets because they couldn't carry them, and try to make it a family and try to all have a good experience. And you're right. That's exactly well
Yeah.
said. That's what I try to do
Okay.
with my teams and with my coaching.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks again, and yeah, have a great day. Rest of the day.
Yeah, appreciate it. Look forward to seeing this and hearing it online. And again, following you. And anytime you have any more questions or have anything else like this, I'd love to join. But I will see you on the internet.
Okay.
All
Thanks.
right. Take it easy.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.